talk on the topic Introduction to Road Safety Auditing. Before that, let me first of all introduce my institute. Our institute, NATPAC, is an R&D center, as I have told you earlier, and we do immense lot of work in the area of road safety engineering. We provide R&D support to the Kerala Road Safety Authority, Public Works Department, and other user agencies in the state of Kerala as well as in the national level also. We do crash data analysis, accident reconstruction and analysis, road safety audit, the prioritization of black spots and treatment strategies. Also, we are helping the government and other agencies in formulating policies in different areas. We do the standard operating procedures for the practicing engineers. And we have a lot of training programs as well to different sections of the society, like the school community, the Safe Route to School program, the Safe Community program, Youth Leadership program, training to drivers of ambulance and hazardous goods and trucks, school buses as well. That is, the driver community is also being intended while giving the training programs. And the trainers training programs also we conduct. Also, we have a lot of publications for doing awareness in the field of road safety. We do have publications on the short films and handbooks, leaflets, etc. And recently in 2019, NATPAC has got recognized as the Road Safety Audit Training Agency. That is, the Indian Road Congress, MOTH, has recognized NATPAC as this agency for giving training in road safety auditing. And the scientists from NATPAC has completed a 15-day certification course on road safety audit and other road safety related aspects, which was held at CSIR CRRI, that is Central Road Research Institute at New Delhi. So the scientist in NATPAC has been trained to do the training in the road safety audit, and we from this year onwards will be conducting training programs for the road safety auditing. Coming to my presentation, it has been structured as, first I will give an overview of the road safety scenario, that is a global scenario as well as the national and the state and in the state of Kerala. Then I will pass on to the road safety audit, the different key steps involved in the auditing procedure, and the philosophy of safe road design, and some of the illustrations on the safe design if the time permits. My colleagues yesterday might have presented to you the scenario, road safety scenario in the world as well as the national and state level scenario in the road safety. But let me pass on to the road safety auditing, just giving an overview of the safety scenario on our roads. We know that if we do not make any intervention on the road engineering with the safety point of view, the loss of lives on our roads will be very high. And if we do some interventions from 2011 to 2022, it was projected as, if no interventions are being done, about 5 million lives will be lost. Otherwise, if some intervention is done, we would be able to save at least 5 million lives. And the safe system approach has been the new idea conceived by the global practitioners in the field of road safety. And 2011 to 20 has been considered as the decade of action for road safety. And the 5 pillars for the safe system approach is being identified as the road safety management, building safer roads, build safer vehicles, safe user behavior, and improve the post-crash care. So all the intervention strategies in the worldwide has been structured to achieve improvements in these 5 areas, which has been identified as the 5 pillars for achieving a safe system approach. About 23% of all the deaths happening are due to the road traffic crashes. This is the world scenario. And most of the lives lost are in the age group of 15 to 29. So the youngsters are losing life on our roads. And road traffic injuries were the 9th cause of total deaths in 1920, but it has now become the 4th cause. Sorry, it has now become the 3rd cause for death. And this shows the alarming nature of the serious concern. And it is found that the loss of lives happening on our roads are even more than the loss of life happening due to COVID. And when we see the statistics, it is found that almost 68 countries have seen a rise in road traffic, while about 79 has seen some decrease in road traffic deaths because of the safe approach that they have adopted and the interventions that they have taken in the road engineering. About 1.35 million people are getting killed each year on our roads, and overspeeding is found to be one of the major reasons for the cause of crashes and cause of death on our lives. And overspeeding is a serious concern because the extent or the severity of fatality is being determined by the speed of the vehicle. That is, there is a 90% of chance of surviving the road crashes when the vehicles are being driven at a speed of 30 km per hour. When the speed gets increased to 45 km per hour or above, there is only less than 50% chance of survival. So this chart well implies the role of overspeeding in causing crashes, and also the extent or the severity of fatality is being determined by the speed of the vehicle. And coming to the Indian scenario, about 8 to 10% of the global road deaths are happening from India. And the vehicle population is increasing by almost 20% every year. So the Indian cities are getting overwhelmed with the number of vehicles which are increasing every year. When coming to Kerala, more than 4,000 deaths are happening in almost 470 accidents every year. The deaths cost are more than 4,000. And Tamil Nadu and Kerala are one of the two states in India which has having almost comparable number of deaths with the other developed countries. The source of report submitted to the Supreme Court shows that potholes are causing almost 30% of accidents. The 30 roadway factor responsible is potholes. So this well implies the role of road engineering, a safe road engineering, in reducing the number of accidents as well as the loss of death on roads. About 4.25 accidents per 1,000 vehicles are happening in Kerala. That is about 10 to 12 deaths per day is happening. This is the statistics being taken based on which it is reported that about 10 to 12 deaths are happening per day. And out of the persons getting killed, about 30% are pedestrians and 35% are two-wheeler riders. So they are the vulnerable road users who become the victim of most of the accidents. The two-wheelers and pedestrians. These statistics also shows that the two-wheelers and pedestrians are the most vulnerable category of road users on our roads, who are becoming the victims of the most of the road accidents, and the fatality rate happening to them is most severe. More than 82% of the victims are bike riders and pedestrians. This is a statistics. The vehicles involved and the number of deaths corresponding to them is showing that the grievous injury is happening mostly to the two-wheelers and pedestrians. This pie chart again shows the severity or the extent of fatality caused to the two-wheeler riders and pedestrians. This is a district-wise road accidents and fatality. Coming to the fatality rate in Kerala from 2010 to 2018, though there is a slight decline in the number of accidents and the fatality rate, that may be because of the various strategical interventions that we are taking up at the state level for checking the accidents and the loss of death on the roads. But still there is a way forward to further progress. Around 95% of the road crashes involve some element of human error. Although educating road users can reduce the number of road crashes that occur, human error cannot be eradicated. So the accidents there is a chance for the happening of accidents always. And now now this kind of idea or the approach that we are taking are to consider or build forgiving roads, because humans always make mistakes that cannot be avoided, but we can make safe engineering in our roads so that the mistakes made by the humans or the road users will be taken care of, or at least the extent of fatality will be lessened. The growth of motor vehicles over the years are very showing a steepening curve, and also the accident scenario. The number of accidents occurred on different types of roads, national highway, state highway, and other roads are shown here. The accident rate on national highways are more, and the vehicle category wise fatalities on the roads are also shown in the pie chart. So altogether, all these statistics shows that there is an alarming rate of accidents happening in Kerala, and that is causing a serious concern on our roads. And the road-wise accidents on national highways 25%, on state highways 20%. So there is an urgent need for all the practicing engineers or the academicians to, or the researchers to put a focus on a safe road engineering so that the number of deaths happening on our roads can be lessened. So these 5 pillars of road safety were identified so that we can make a more scientific and judicial engineering on our roads. The road safety management, better infrastructure, safe vehicles, road user behavior, better behavior of road users on the road, and the post-crash care or the trauma care. And recently, when 2011 to 2020 has been declared as the road safety decade, the new idea or the concept has been the Vision Zero approach. That is, globally, all the countries have taken up a decision to bring the number of accidents level to zero by 2030. That is the Vision Zero approach. And it is stated that it can never be ethically acceptable that people are killed or seriously injured when moving within the road transport system. So the practicing engineers or the highway fraternity has to bring an element of safety engineering on our roads so that the road should be built as forgiving roads, even if the road users make a mistakes, that will be taken care of. And for reducing the accidents, or the accident control measures should be oriented towards reducing the exposure to traffic, reduce the chances of accidents, reduce the harm done when an accident occurs. So accidents are always unpredictable. We cannot predict whether an accident happen or not, but we can reduce the harm done when an accident occurs and reduce the post-accident harm. That is a better infrastructure for trauma care. So ensuring safer road infrastructure has been the first call while doing or while taking an action policy, taking an action approach on the road safety engineering. So road engineering, safe road engineering is of vital importance in achieving the Vision Zero concept by 2030. And these were identified to be the key action areas of road safety policy. That involves a safe road engineering, giving better education, better enforcement, better emergency care. So altogether, all these can be categorized under the 5 E's, like engineering, education, emergency care, then evaluation. Enforcement is also of vital importance. These were identified to be the 5 E's when we are formulating an action plan for a safer road engineering. Here, engineering is of vital importance. Out of these 5 E's, engineering is of vital importance, where as engineers, we can step into or we can keep a focus on so that better roads are being built. And now, from now on, our approach should be a safe system approach. That is, mistakes are inevitable. That is, the road users may always make mistakes, but the deaths or the serious injuries from the road crashes can be avoided by better or safe road engineering. Human error is no longer the primary cause of crashes. Rather, a failure of the road system is the cause of many collisions that result in death or serious injury. The key objective for those managing the roads is that as road users, we will continue to make mistakes. When crashes do occur, high severity outcomes such as serious injuries and deaths do not happen. So that is the underlying principle of a safe road engineering. The safe system approach principles: people make mistakes, people are vulnerable. We need to share our responsibilities and we need to strengthen all parts of the system. These are the key concepts upon which we have to build our strategy of action plan. Now, the role of engineers and transportation professionals is in considering safety in planning and design of new roads. It is important that we should bring in an element of safety in every engineering aspect or the every design of roads. Improve the safety on existing roads, identify the hazardous locations. We have to deploy the safety countermeasures so that all the mistakes will be taken care of. And that highlights this. This gave an overview on the road safety scenario globally as well as on the national level and in the state level. And let me pass on to our topic, that is the road safety audit. Based on the vital importance that we are having in bringing an element of safety in road engineering, the concept of road safety auditing has been developed. The history shows that in late 1980s, when the road safety engineering team in the county in England began to question the number of newly built roads that were appearing in the county's black spot list, with the support from a county surveyor, a policy was developed requiring all new roads designed in the county to be checked and approved for safety. That is the history or the origin of road safety auditing concept. And all the newly roads built were coming in the country's black spot list, there was a call for bringing in an element of safety and auditing the safety element of the roads which were newly built. There came the origin of road safety auditing. The checking process became formalized as road safety audit, and the RSC team became the first road safety audit team. And the road safety situation in India is very alarming, which is, when put to economic terms, the cost to the nation is an estimated 3% of GDP, and the majority of fatalities are happening in the age group of 18 to 45. That is, the youngsters are losing their life on the roads, and this calls for a coordinated action by all the key stakeholders, and there comes the relevance of road safety audit on our roads, which is a critical step in that direction. The category of people involved in the roads or the road crashes are the road user, vehicle, and also the road system or the road environment. So what might be the solution? It should have an improved road user behavior. The system should have an improved road user behavior, for which education or training is a must, an increased enforcement of the road rules, and safety improvements in the road transport infrastructure. And there lies the importance of road engineering, safe road engineering. And as we all know, prevention is better than cure. So road safety audit is a process of crash prevention. Road safety can be built into new road projects by making changes at the design stage itself, and risks to the future of road users can be minimized. It is a formal process, not just an informal check, but it is a formal process. And it is conducted by a team of persons who are independent of the design of the road, or who are independent of that project. And it is conducted by persons with appropriate qualification, training, and experience, and also they should have the proper certification from the IRC or MORTH or the authorities. Road safety auditing could be defined as a formal, systematic, and detailed examination of a road project by an independent and qualified team of auditors that lead to a report of potential safety concerns in the project. And IRC has published a set of guidelines on, as the title does, the Manual on Road Safety Audit, which is IRC SP 88 2019. That gives the guidelines for conducting a road safety audit. And about the road safety audit, it is not a check of compliance with standards. It is not just a substitute for regular design checks. And it is not just a crash investigation, but it's an opportunity to redesign a project which needs to be carried out separately. It's a name for a more detailed site inspection. It's a way of assessing or rating a project as good or bad. And a good road safety audit is accomplished when focus is on the road safety issues only. Keep relevant standards and guidelines in mind. Consider the needs of all the road users. That will include the vehicle riders as well as the vulnerable road users. And it should be very thorough and comprehensive. It should be realistic and practical in findings. The objectives of the road safety audit is to minimize the risk and severity of crashes, to recognize the importance of safety in road design, to reduce the long-term cost of a new road projects, to enhance the awareness of road safety engineering principles, to advance the awareness of providing safe road schemes. And the key steps involved in conducting a road safety audit are: we have to first of all determine that an audit is needed, and the authority or the project manager should select a team leader for the road safety audit team, who then selects the audit team. Provide information about the project to the team leader, then hold a commencement meeting which give the outline of the project and discuss the audit ahead. And then the drawings and design reports should be provided by a designer to the road safety audit team. The team should inspect the site both during the daytime as well as the nighttime. A detailed site investigation has to be carried out. Prepare the audit report and submit to the project manager. Hold a completion meeting to discuss the key safety issues and to clarify the outstanding matters. Provide response on the audit report referring to each and every audit recommendation. The response on the audit report should be given by the client together with the designer, and it should finally be brought to implementation based on discussions. What projects are to be road safety audited? Any road project on a high-speed road. It is desirable that all the roads get audited in the safety point of view. But there are constraints on the resources that we can share. As a nation or as a state, there are limited resources, and so we will have to make the best judicial use of resources. So we will have to identify which are the roads to be audited in the safety point of view, so that the maximum effect can be brought about in, and we have to prioritize the projects which has to be audited. Any road project experiencing high volume of traffic and vulnerable road users. All new road projects will benefit from having road safety audits undertaken during design and construction stages. And the road safety audit team composed of the client, the designers, and the audit team. And these are the key players in the road safety audit. That is, there are some roles or responsibilities to be done by the client or the project owner. They should, first of all, select the team and should provide all the information and the project details to the audit team. The design team should give all the designs and drawings related with the project to the audit team. So there is a role to be played by the client and the design team in giving or providing with all the information and details regarding to the safety audit team. And the safety audit team is quite independent of that project. And they will be very qualified people having, say, expertise in the field of road safety engineering. They will identify the safety issues in the proposed design, inspect the site during day and night time as well, make constructive recommendation to reduce the risk of crashes and the severity. They will document the safety concerns and will provide the recommendations or the modifications to be bring about. They will hold commencement and completion meetings with the client and design team. And this road safety auditing is being done in stages. So the key or the main 5 stages involved in the road safety auditing are planning or feasibility stage, then the design stage, construction stage, pre-opening stage, and existing stage. That is, road safety auditing has to be done in the planning stage. It also has to be done at the design stage, And again, during the construction stage also, the safety auditing has to be done. Just of the completion of the project before the commission itself, a pre-opening stage audit has to be done. And on the roads which are in operation, that is in the existing operation stage also, periodically this auditing could be done. The suggested stages of road safety auditing. All these guidelines are being given in IRC SP 88 2019, which is the manual of road safety auditing. And it prioritizes the kind of projects or the kind of highways based on their functional classification, which all stages of auditing has to be carried out on which all roads. So when it comes to the superior kind of roads like expressways and national highways, most of the stages of auditing is inevitable. On expressways, the safety auditing has to be done in all the stages like planning, design, construction, pre-opening. And on the national highways, in the planning stage, it is optional, but in all other stages, the road safety auditing has to be done. This is now becoming mandatory that for every superior kind of highway projects, the road safety auditing is a must. And so the road safety auditors are having a bright future for their profession because the road safety auditing is becoming a mandatory thing in all the superior kind of highway projects. And on the state highways also, the road safety auditing is mandatory in the 3 stages, that is design, construction, and pre-opening stage. And the other lesser or the inferior categories of roads, it is optional in some of the stages, but design stage, the auditing is a must. And at construction stage also, the authorities can decide depending upon the safety concerns or the risk involved in the project. The authorities or the project manager can decide whether an auditing at a particular stage is needed or not. So the planning and feasibility stage auditing. Before the commencement of every highway project, we all know that there is a planning stage where the alignment is being fixed, the route of the highway is being fixed, and also the various preliminary things in the design like its horizontal or vertical alignment, what should be the cross section of the highway, and wherever the intersections are coming, what is the kind of layout for the intersection. All these decisions regarding the preliminary design are being taken at the planning stage, and at that stage, an auditing will help in reducing the cost and time loss associated with the changes that may otherwise be brought about during later audits. If the right kind of safety audit is being done at the planning stage, a lot of cost or the time can be saved, which otherwise may incur in case some safety threats are occurring in later stages. So for superior kind of projects at the planning stage also, a road safety auditing has become mandatory. It will audit the design standards been adopted, route choice, continuity with the existing adjacent network, horizontal and vertical alignment, cross sections, interchange and intersection layout. It will have a decision on the through land use control. It will check the decisions and providing bypasses for congested towns and linking them by spurs, then creating self-contained zones to avoid non-essential traffic in the neighborhood. So these are some of the concerns being addressed during the planning stage. That is, the highway alignment should pass through which all areas. It will not be desirable if the highway alignment passes through a busy town area. So a bypass is being thought of. Major arteries and expressways should bypass major towns, which should be connected by spurs. And there should be clear zones identified for linear land use control. In the design stage, this stage occurs on completion of the detailed road design. That is, the final DPR is prepared during the stage, but before the preparation of contract documents, that is, before bidding the contract documents, a finalization has to be done at the design stage. During the process, there has to be a safety auditing so that every safety concern is being addressed properly. So the typical considerations in this stage of safety auditing are geometric layout, pavement markings, signals, lightings, road signs, intersection details, clearances to the roadside objects, provision for vulnerable road users. We all know that a detailed drawing of a highway alignment should look like this. That is, it should have a detailed drawing for all the road signs, where the signals to be placed, where all the marking, which are the kind of markings to be provided, etc. So a road safety audit team can take these drawings and check whether all the things have been provided as desired. Here in this, we can see that the pedestrian markings given are in the inappropriate place. It should be the pedestrian marking should be connecting the islands provided at the intersection, but it is not properly given. It is given at a different location. It has to be modified. So the road safety audit team can pinpoint this safety concern and give a better facility for the vulnerable road user, that is the pedestrians, by giving the pedestrian markings connecting the traffic islands so that they get a refuge islands when they are crossing the road. A design stage audit help in reducing the cost and disturbances associated with last minute changes that may otherwise be brought about with the pre-opening audit. So an audit at the design stage is very important. It is very crucial because once the contract is bidded or once the project is being awarded to a contractor, it will be difficult to make the changes in the design. So it is better that all the safety concerns are addressed during the design audit itself, so that no element of risk is being left unaddressed on the roads, and the safety element is brought in the design. So design stage auditing is very important, and it is becoming mandatory in all the highway projects. And care is being taken to look into every detail aspect of design, like the geometric layouts, then pavement markings, signals, road signs, etc. Clearances to roadside objects, and also the vulnerable road users are the most neglected people or the road users, and an audit team should also take into consideration the every facility given for the vulnerable road users, whether they are provided as desired. The safety in design stage is focusing in designing the roads as self-explaining roads and forgiving roadside by selecting the most desirable design standard, not only the minimum standard, but they are taking care to bring in the most desirable facility in consideration to the aspects like design speed, horizontal and vertical geometry, cross-sectional elements, design of at-grade and grade separated junctions, provision of service roads and segregation of slow and fast traffic, designing effective road furniture, etc. So the roadside hazards, also the parking facilities given and the nighttime lighting given, drainage facilities, every details of the road engineering has to be taken care of, and the safety concerns has to be addressed. Now coming to the safety in the design stage, I will just flash through some of the safety elements, because these are all very important factors which has to be properly addressed. And it takes time in completely dealing with these topics, but now I will just go through some of the important aspects of geometric design, or the areas where we have to focus in while doing the road safety auditing during the design stage. That is a horizontal geometry. Consistency of horizontal geometry, avoiding monotonous straight lines or abrupt change of spurred is very essential. And adequate offset distance from the natural roadside features is to be provided. Offset distance has to be adequate, and the vertical geometry is to be taken care of. Undivided carriageways designed for desirable overtaking side distance. The overtaking side distance has to be proper, otherwise there may be chances of crashes due to unsafe overtaking practices. And the cross-sectional elements should be properly given, wider lane widths and shoulders for high speeds and roads. The extra widening provided at the curves is very important. These are all the cross-sectional elements to be taken care of, and IRC guidelines are being provided for the desirable standards of geometric design. All the cross-sectional elements like the extra widening to be provided, or the recoverable slopes for out-of-control vehicles, what is the slope to be given, what is the median and the kind of median to be provided on highways. Guidelines are available from IRC for all these design aspects, and we should conform to all those guidelines while designing. And if it is not being done, a road safety audit team should pinpoint all such concerns and should give recommendations, site-specific recommendations to the authority or the design engineer so that they can make the modifications at the design stage itself. And wherever it is a busy highway, separate slow-moving non-motorized traffic, separate lanes has to be provided for segregating the slow traffic from the fast-moving traffic. The entry exit at the intersections. Intersections are the critical points in every highway alignment or highway network. So the entry exit in the junctions are of very important. Separate intersection designs is always needed for facilitating the safe and smooth maneuver of vehicles at the intersections. The provision of slip lanes or acceleration or deceleration lanes are all very important. And the passenger transit, separate lay-by for buses, taxis, etc. to segregate them from the vulnerable road users is important. Junction design or the pedestrian facilities, all these has to be scrutinized by the road safety audit team, and they should give desirable modifications or recommendations wherever there exists a safety concern in the design. Also, nowadays, every highway is being built with specific attention to the differentially able people also. So wherever such demands are there, there should be facilities to aid them also. And the barriers provided on the roadside should be given in a safe manner. Providing a barrier by itself will not take care of the safety, but it has to be provided to the standard height and the standard fixture provisions should be provided. Otherwise, it will again result in the extent of fatalities when a crash happens. The height of the crash barrier is very important, and the end treatment to be given at the crash barrier is very important, and guidelines are given in IRC for each of these specific details, but normally some of the practicing engineers are not conforming to the guidelines provided, and this causes severity of fatalities when an accident happens. The road signs has to be given in the proper manner. Here, this figure shows a crowded provision of road signs. This is not desirable. This will only confuse the road user. The road signs also has to be provided as per the guidelines. The IRC provision is there. IRC 67 provides for all the specifications on the signs, IRC 35 for the markings. So all those details has to be taken care of. And the engineering aspects of safe road infrastructure thus involves all these, that is the planning stage and design stage. And now coming to the construction stage, a safe road environment should always be a warning type. It should inform the road user of all the hazards that he is likely to encounter on the road. It should guide the road user properly. It should control the road user's passage through conflict points and sections. And the highway should always be of forgiving nature. That is, the road user, even if he goes errant or some inappropriate behavior happens from a road user, the highway should be built in such a way that it should take care of the risk involved. So these are the principles to be taken care of. That is, the highway should be designed. It should designed in such a manner that it should properly warn, inform, guide, control, and forgive a road user. And these are some of the proactive measures. Applications. No work zone delineation is given. Here, during the construction stage audit, no work zone delineation is given, but here the work zone is being clearly demarcated with the gunny bags with reflectors. The reflectors should also be provided so that nighttime visibility is there. Here, the delineators with no retro-reflective tapes. but here the delineators provided are with retro reflection. So the road safety auditor should pinpoint such safety threats on the road. Here there is a substandard delineation with no visibility during night. The delineation is provided here at the worksite, but it is substandard. This is a delineation with retro-reflective tapes for visibility during the night as well. And here the proactive measure being applied is there is a conglomeration of signs creating confusion. But here they are being properly placed, tapering to demarcate the work zone. And working beyond work zones without the delineator zones. Here no delineator zones are being demarcated. Here the construction machinery working within the work zone is properly delineated. Now the deflective glare blockers, here the corrective glare blockers are given. Sometimes the glare will be there when the vehicle riders are on the roads. So corrective glare blockers has to be provided. Undelineated and unprotected drain, here it is properly covered. So these are the kind of measures being taken to properly safeguard the threats on the roads. Now coming to the traffic calming measures, the signs, markings and gates. The signs, markings and gates should be provided. I think I have slipped some of the slides on the construction stage. That is the stage 3, construction stage. Construction stage is the audit to be provided at the construction stage, where it takes place during the construction of roadworks. That is, when a construction is being happening on the road, the traffic also will be plying over the road. So the traffic has to be properly warned that there is some construction happening on the road. Otherwise, it will again become a source of danger for the road users. So the typical issues has to be examined during the construction stage. They are the provision for pedestrian safety, advanced warning zones, adequate transition zone length, worker safety, effective number of reflective signs, safe delineation, credible speed limit, temporary crash barriers, lighting and diversion. That is, whenever a construction site is there, that has to be properly demarcated from the road users so that they never get into the construction site, or that doesn't become a chance for a crash or an accident. The objective of construction stage road safety auditing is it requires proper construction safety to avoid the risk of accident at the site of work. Properly signage and safety measures are required at the site. Delineation of the work zone is warranted. IRC SP 55/2014 has provided the safety measures to be adopted at the work zones for standard operations. IRC SP 88/2019 manual on road safety audit also gives some of the guidelines for the facilities to be provided or the warning system to be provided at the construction sites. So a safety auditing at this construction stage will address the adherence to the manual for the work. And the guiding principles are: warn the road user clearly and sufficiently far in advance, provide safe and clearly marked lanes for guiding the road users, provide safe and clearly marked buffer and work zones. Here you can see that in this picture, the diversion signboards are given. Proper warning is given that men is at work in the site, and a diversion is being given with barricades. The components of traffic control zone. The traffic control zone can be at a construction site can be divided into an advanced warning zone, approach transition zone, working zone, or terminal transition zone. So a road safety auditor has to see whether the facilities or the warning system provided at a construction site is conforming to these guidelines, whether there is a advanced warning zone, whether there is any signs provided for in the advanced warning zone. He will have to check whether there is an approach transition provided, and also he will have to see for the kind of signboards given at the working zone, whether it properly demarcates the construction site, and also the terminal transition zone. So as shown in the picture, we can clearly demarcate a construction site from the rest of the road traffic by properly giving the road signs and delineation facilities. And these are the 4 zones to be provided at a construction site by an engineer. And the audit team has to check whether it is properly given, or they will have to provide recommendations to make these modifications. So this is the kind of zone demarcation at a construction site. You can see the work area, and before the commencement of the work area, there has to be a warning length where the signboards has to be provided to properly warn the road users that there is a work area ahead. Then there is a transition zone. Then there is activity zone. Then the terminal transition zone. Then at the end, there is a work zone end length. So IRC SP55 gives the recommended length to be provided at each of these control zones. You can refer the IRC SP55 for getting the standard length to be provided at these zones. This is the traffic control by priority signs. These are the kind of signboards to be provided at this working site. Length from the start of the lead-in taper to the end of the exit taper should not be more than 80 meters. So each of the zone length is clearly given. And also the visibility distances to be provided is given. The speed limit to be provided is 50 km per hour. Likewise, all the signboards has to be provided. Object or hazard markers has to be provided where there is some hazard. And the men at work signboards has to be given. The restriction end or the narrow lane signboards has to be given. So these are the different work zone components. The warning zone is the section of the road in which the road user are warned in advance about the presence of work zone. The transition zone is where the road traffic is being redirected from their normal path to a laterally shifted path. Activity zone is the place, the workspace where the activity is being carried out, that has to be properly delineated. The transition zone in which the traffic will be redirected from the deviated path of the construction zone to the normal path. So a terminal transition zone also has to be provided to redirect the traffic to the normal path. Then the work zone end, where we have to properly warn or properly inform the road user or the traffic that the work zone has ended and they can resume their normal path. And a work zone traffic management plans has to be brought about to facilitate the passage of road users. The roadway geometry or the roadside features or the traffic control devices has to be properly given so that they will be the road users will be properly guided. These are some of the safety issues at the construction site. That is, the narrow traffic lanes are created at a construction site. The lanes will be lane width will be constricted. And narrow lanes will only be existing, so the workers will have to reduce the speed, and traffic calming measures has to be provided for that. Here the workforce, that is the people working at the site, are also at great risk, so they also has to be taken care of. And many accidents in the construction zones take place due to the increased strain on the driver, so the driver has to be properly warned and proper traffic calming measures has to be given so that much strain is not brought on the driver. The road construction and maintenance work is hazardous, and the vulnerable road users has to be taken care of. Separate facilities to be provided for their continuous movement of the pedestrians. Often we see on our roads that the footpaths are being encroached by other sections of road users. Even the two-wheelers ride on the footpath and the pedestrians are at risk. So The pedestrian footpath should always be devoid of any such threats or hazards, and the facilities for them should be taken care of. At the pre-opening stage, that is just before the commissioning of the project, a detailed inspection of the new road projects immediately prior to its opening. This is the first stage of road safety audit. It should be driven and walked by, that is, the new road should be driven and walked by the audit team to ensure that the safety needs of the road users are provided for. A nighttime inspection is important at this stage to check the installation and visibility of signs, markings, delineation, lighting, and any other nighttime related issues. So during the night time also, there should be the safe operation of the vehicles on the road. So all these aspects like the adequacy of lighting on the road or the visibility of signboards and markings, etc., has to be checked. And equipments are available for checking the illumination, the light intensity, etc. And the road safety auditor has to confirm whether it is as per the specifications. Or if not, if any safety elements, any safety threats are there, he has to give proper recommendations to modify it. The number of project stages at which the audits are conducted usually varies according to the classification of the road and the size of the project. That I have already told you, that is depending upon the priority of the road or the functional classification of the road, the authority or the project manager can decide which all stages of road safety auditing is required or necessary in that particular project. So the safety audit of existing roads. So that is what we have told is already is about the new road projects. But when it comes to the existing roads, it is already designed, it is already built, and it is in operation. So what is the kind of auditing required in the existing roads which is in operation? The audit aims to ensure that the safety features of the road are compatible with the functional classification of the road. Even if the design was done properly during the time of construction, and even if all the safety elements were in proper orientation during the commissioning of the project, in course of time there might have come in some safety threats on the road. So an auditing at this stage on the existing roads is also necessary, because it can identify any feature that may develop over time into a safety issue. For example, a tree blocking the sight lines at an intersection. The safety issues found in this audit should be readily addressed through simple and low-cost maintenance practices. That is, the trees or any other roadside hazards which are protruding onto the road could be trimmed off. The sign has to be, the sign sometimes, signboards sometimes will not be visible, and that could be pinpointed. Sign and line markings renewal and clearance of roadside hazard issues, all those issues could be addressed by an auditing on the existing roads. The safety audit of existing roads also use the crash data. It helps to understand some of the proven safety issues along the road. So if the safety audit team can see the crash data also, it will help them in identifying the safety issues on the road and properly addressing them. So the crash data helps the audit team to focus too closely on the crash sites, possibly overlooking other high-risk locations. Audit team should prioritize its findings according to those that can be most readily and cost-effectively treated. So all the findings of the road safety audit team has to be prioritized in such a manner that they could be readily addressed and cost-effectively treated. So it could be practical as well. The modification suggested by the safety audit team should be practical. The safety audit of existing roads. These are some of the examples which shows the findings of the auditing on existing road. Inadequate bus bay. The buses are stopping on the road carriageway itself because no bus bay provision is given. So that will close the lane. Once the bus is stopping on the roadway, it will close the lane, and other traffic may have to divert from the normal path. And in places where direct access is given to petrol pump, there will not be proper channelization of the traffic, which is again causing vulnerability and risk in the highway system. The vehicles will be queuing and merging on the roadway, which is a major safety hazard, which has to be properly addressed with the designed driveways. And improper junction design, the channelizers has to be modified. Most of the junctions which are not being scientifically designed, but where the major or minor road is intersecting, a proper junction design with the appropriate channelizing islands has to be provided, so that the maneuver of the vehicles at the intersection is safe. So all those safety hazards or the threats has to be properly pinpointed by the audit team, and which could be modified in course of team by the implementing agency. So these are some of the checklist. That is, each of the stage of audit, there is a checklist given by the manual on road safety auditing, that is IRC SP 88. So the audit team can prepare the checklist and they can address all the issues. Those who are interested can go through the IRC SP 88 2019, which will give all the details about all the guidelines about the stages of safety auditing. What are the checklists at each of the stages, so that we will be able to take care of each of the detailed design elements on the road, whether they are properly addressed or whether there is any threat existing, and how to address that threat. So these are some of the provisions given in the checklist, which has to be properly checked and addressed by the road safety audit team. And coming to, so these are the different stages of road safety auditing. I have gone through, I had just given an introduction to each of the 5 stages of road safety auditing, but there are a lot of things to be properly learned in each of these sections. And IRC provides guidelines for addressing all these. And these are some of the IRC publications that gives the guidelines for the different aspects of road safety design and different aspects of road safety design and elements to be provided, safety elements to be provided on the roads. I'll just share the slides, and so you can go through the different IRC provisions that is to be followed while designing a road, or while we check the different design elements of the road. These are the slides which I have already shown you. These are some of the proactive measures that could be applied on the road, so that these are the traffic calming measures. You know that the signboards, markings, or the gateway treatment, gates means the gateway treatment to be given at the busy areas. All these are some of the traffic calming measures which will influence the driving behavior. And these are the kind of treatments to be given on the road, so that we can design the road with a forgiving nature. That is, the errors of the road users will be taken care of if we provide the proper safety elements on the roads. And whenever there is a traffic calming to be done or the speed reduction is inevitable, in such occasions the principle of lane narrowing can be adopted if it is scientifically advisable. Humps can be provided. The humps are also of different types, and that has to be decided based on the site specific requirements. And these are the kind of other texture paving to be provided on the road, so that it will help in automatically reducing the speed of the vehicles, so that the chances of road user making a mistake is averted. That is the kind of forgiving roads. That is a kind of designing forgiving roads, because we are bringing in some safety elements onto the road, so that the road users or the drivers are compelled to follow the rules, and the chances of making mistakes are averted. Uneven road surface, the thermoplastic bar markings provided on the road, so that the drivers of the vehicles will be alerted and there will be reduction in speed. These are the kind of bumps provided for speed reduction. The horizontal deflections, wherever in some of the busy areas, busy activity areas where there is a necessity for reducing the speed, some of the techniques like staggering the path or horizontal deviation of the vehicles on the road can be brought about, and also the chicane on the one lane road in residential streets is advisable in some locations. So an experienced designer or a auditor can judge whether which treatment is required at each of the site, and that will depend upon the site specific requirements. Horizontal deflections possible wherever some channelization has to be given to the traffic plying on. The suggested treatments for mid-block crossings, when there is a through traffic and when a crossing has to be provided at the mid-block, some treatment has to be given at the mid-block so that the vehicle will be compelled to reduce the speed, so they will be channelized and the pedestrians are given a refuge island, and they are given the proper crossing facility with markings. Otherwise, the pedestrians will become vulnerable and they will be at great risk. So such treatments has to be given whenever there is a mid-block crossing is there. Road junctions with raised areas for pedestrians, and this shows the schematic diagram for highway corridors without central median. So depending upon the site or the kind of highways which are existing, we will have to properly allocate the road safety furniture. All these elements, that is a signboard, signals or road markings and other features given on the road are being referred as the road furniture. So the road furniture has to be properly located so that the safety is brought in the road engineering. So at the hill roads, wherever there are hairpin bends, the gradient to be provided as per the gate line, and also there should be proper warning system with the help of signboards and markings so that the road user or the vehicle rider will be properly guided and channelized, and there will be no threats existing or the hazards will be averted. The signboards or the object hazard markers or the chevron markers, everything has to be provided as per the guidelines given in IRC specifications. The convex mirrors, wherever it is, wherever there requires a blind curve, all these things has to be provided. So each of the kind of highways or the highway locations require specific treatment. So a road safety audit team can make a detailed investigation on the highway project. They can go to the site and properly find out the kind of treatment or the modification required on the roads, or when it is at the design stage, they can also judge whether the design is properly given or whether there is a modification required. So there comes the relevance of a road safety auditing, which will help in immensely reducing the cost of highway projects, or it will also help in enhancing the safety of the highway projects which are coming up in future. So coming to the concluding remarks, the application of safety principles in the provision, improvement and maintenance of roads as a means of accident prevention can be established through road safety auditing. And road safety auditing is becoming a mandatory thing, and the people who are certified for road safety auditing are being empaneled, and a national registry or a local registry of such empaneled road safety auditors are being kept by IRC or MoRTH, and they will be their service will be taken by different implementing agencies or the project managers for auditing of the roads or the future highway projects. And purpose of road safety audit is to ensure that road users would be exposed to minimal risk of accidents in both new and existing roads. So the new ideology or the new concept is to design forgiving roads, or construct forgiving roads where the element of safety is being brought into design and engineering. The manual on road safety audit is published by IRC. It is a valuable instructional tool for road safety auditors. Road safety audits will help in reducing the life cycle cost of the road projects and enhance the safety of all road users. So there comes the relevance of road safety auditing, which will help in immensely reducing the loss of lives on our roads, and also it will help in averting the accidents or the crashes. It will help in reducing the fatality rate. So it will finally contribute to the economy and society. So that is a very promising area of highway engineering or a transportation engineering, where even the students or the practicing engineers can further focus into, so that a lot of promising avenues of profession is there in future, because it is becoming mandatory on all the highway projects. Thank you. Hello, am I audible? Hello, any questions? Any queries? There I have seen a question like, while doing the auditing on existing roads, how do we assess the strength of the road? So the question is not very clear to me, but I have understood it as you want to test the structural strength of the payment. If you want to test the structural strength of the payment, there are non-destructive methods for testing the structural strength of the payment. You might have heard of the deflection, Bengelman beam deflection methods, or the falling weight deflection methods, which will help in determining the strength of the existing road, based on which we will have to design the overlay for the road. That will help in designing the structural strength. Or if you want to determine the functional adequacy of the road, there are some functional evaluation methods like the road roughness evaluation method or the skid resistance evaluation. That is, there are different techniques of payment evaluation where you can examine the unevenness of the road by the bump integrator method, or the roughness evaluation method. Other roughness evaluation methods are also available, and you can test the skid resistance, and also the texture of the pavement you can test. All these different functional qualities could be tested by different techniques and equipments are available for testing that, and based on which you can judge whether the structural strength is adequate, and also if it is functionally performing well, that also could be tested and reports could be made on that. And for the kind of geometric adequacies, you can check the geometric adequacy of the road, the horizontal curve radius or the vertical gradients, everything you could be examining by the total station or any other kind of survey methods. Or you can, there are other equipments also, the trajectory measuring equipments are also available nowadays, which will help in testing the adequacy of the geometric adequacies of the road. And the road furniture you can see just by seeing a practicing engineer or an auditor who is well experienced in the field of engineering, he can well judge whether the road signs or any other road furniture are being adequately placed on the road, whether the location is proper. He can judge based on his site inspection, and he can recommend the modifications required. Any other questions? Okay, the PPT I will share to you. How can we do the auditing during planning stage without anything actually there in the field? In the planning stage, the project team will be having a survey document, and they will be having concepts on through which areas the alignment is going. So first of all, the different stages of planning is being done, like the pre-feasibility planning, feasibility planning, etc. So at these stages, different survey findings and documents will be available with the project team, and they have some details on the route alignment of the highway project, and also the number of interjunctions or the number of cross structures required on the road. So all those documents and reports will be available at that stage also. Only that the detailed design is not made, but a pre-feasibility report, but a feasibility report or the planning stage report will be available, based on which the auditing can be done. Yes, the PPT will be shared. The PPT will be shared by your coordinators. Many of the road projects are coming up in our state also, and these BTech students can take up some of the stretches of our new projects for road safety auditing. Only thing that you will have to first of all go through the different IRC guidelines, the geometric design standards, all that which you will be studying in your transportation engineering also, but still you will have to learn in detail, and you can go to the sites and see whether they are being placed adequately, or otherwise you can make some suggestions and recommendations. But for being a road safety auditor, one has to get certified by the authority, the concerned authorities, and they should be experienced people. But for the sake of learning, even students can, with the help of your guides, you can try to evaluate the kind of road furnitures or the safety elements given on different stretches of road. Yeah, actually, we are conducting, NATPAC is conducting different research and consultancy projects, and those who would like to associate with some of the projects in NATPAC, you can request with a letter forwarded from your college. Writing that you want to associate with any of the projects in NATPAC, and that might be a learning experience for you. Yeah, even after implementing the suggestions, sometimes all the suggestions will not be acceptable to the implementing agency, because some of the suggestions will require a lot of finance, and there might be financial constraints. So there will be a discussion between them in the completion meeting, so that the kind of interventions that can be, or the modifications to be brought about, they can decide based on their resources availability also, and the other thing which cannot be addressed at that juncture could be taken up at a later stage. So, and all those are being decided based on the seriousness of the issues, seriousness of the safety issues. If an issue is very much risk involving, then they will be addressed at first, and the other things which require a lot of finances, but which are of lesser priority, will be taken up or addressed later by the authority. All those decisions could be taken up by the implementing agency. but the ultimate aim is to bring in safety to the maximum effect. Yeah, NatPack is there is a website for NatPack which are having the which is having the contact email ID and also the for contact numbers are available. Those who want to associate with any of the projects in NatPack, they can write to either by email or by a post. You can write to the director NatPack. The contact email ID is available, or you can ring in at the contact phone number. And we'll be conducting, NatPack is planning to conduct road safety audit training programs also, which is having its own fee also, because it is done that way. Those who are interested will be able to attend that also when they are being planned. Yeah, mostly it is earlier it was found that more now also there may be because of the rash driving also, like I have mentioned, the overspeeding and all, or the unsafe overtaking practices, all those finally result into accidents. That is why we are trying to enforce rules on the road with the help of enforcement agencies. Also, we are trying to, that is the highway fraternity or the road safety practitioners are trying to educate the road user community. We are conducting training programs at the school level, at the community level, or at the for the driver community. We are trying to educate them how to behave on the road. So all those aspects are also being done in parallel, but at the same time there are a lot of issues existing on the road system. There are a lot of unsafe elements existing on our roadways, which has to be addressed by the practicing engineers. And now the new concept is that the road users being mostly humans, they are likely to make mistakes. So the practicing engineer or a highway designer should always consider that element of risk involved, and he should design for a forgiving road. That is, the road user should be averted from making mistakes. For that, some engineering elements has to be brought in on the design, so that the road user, that is a driver, will be alerted at times. He will be made, he will be compelled to reduce his speed, so that the risk involved is averted or the crashes are averted.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Ma'am,
Hello.
is my voice audible?
Hello.
Hello, is my voice audible, ma'am?
Yes, yes. Yes, I can hear
Hello.
you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, the thing is, you have set about accident reconstruction techniques, which was very good. But the thing is, me along with my students, we have designed one software, ma'am, regarding that only, like accident crash index.
Okay.
So, hello.
Hello. Yeah, it's
The
clear.
thing is that actually accident, yeah, accidents may happen in the early morning also. Like if it is happening at 3 o'clock, the people surrounding that, they may not able to judge the accident what has happened at the time, or else sometimes accidents may happen and it may be only fatal, so that they may move from there. But that means the some of the accidents may skip. We means the data may be skipped.
Yes. Yes. Such
Means the
things.
accident and the other.
Yeah, such
Yes, ma'am.
things
Tell me, ma'am.
also, yeah, such things also happen on roads, on through on straight stretches, sometimes because of the monotonous driving or because of the early morning, and also due to fatigue, the driver may sleep for may get slept for some time during the driving process, so that uh, he is not getting alerted of the different warnings on the road, and crashes are resulted. Such things happen always. That is why we are educating the community Two, don't drive during the fatigue times, or also we are making some engineering elements on the road, like different texture pavings, and also the retro reflective signboards are being placed. All those engineering aspects we can bring on the road so that the drivers get alerted at times when there is a straight stretch for a long for some considerable length. We may have to make some different textures on the road so that the driver will get alerted. Even if he is getting slept off for some time, he will be getting alerted, and he'll be brought back to consciousness. So all such things we can bring in the safety engineering element, but still there is a different set of rules to be followed by the road user. That is why a parallel we are always going for the education of the car user community, and we are giving training. And that is why the licensing system also has to be made in such a way that the driver road users should be always aware of the rules to be followed by them, and they have to behave in the right manner on
Another
roads.
thing is,
Yes.
and one more thing, ma'am, under the internship of four of my students under the internship of Indian Road Safety Council, now they are designing one app which because nowadays the smartphone is being used by every individual on the roads, and if any accident is being seen by them before coming of the traffic police to the site. So we have designed one app. What they are doing in that app is they will be entering the details so that the data will be accumulated directly into one database. See, like in 2020, still now only we have the data of accidents up to 2018 in Moth.
Yes.
2019 we are unable to have it because they are taking some time to segregate all the data from all the states, and states are taking all the data from their local districts and all, and it's taking some time.
Yeah, it will take time.
By taking that as a yeah, so in order to reduce that time period, now we are designing an app in such a way that whether any pedestrian or any two-wheeler or any four-wheeler, if they're seeing or passing through any accident, before coming of the police only, they can be able to give the entire details in an app so that it will directly go to the nearest police station. The details will be going to the nearest police station control room as a message.
Yeah, that is a very good initiative from your side. Developing such apps is of much relevance in the modern times, where all the people can have a better scientific database regarding the crashes. As you have said, it's always likely that the data will be recorded only at a later stage by the enforcement agencies because they have their own limitations. So the kind of dApps being developed by people like you will be of great use to the highway fraternity, and you can try to properly develop it so that with the better features and more features, so that it could be marketed also with the enforcement agencies. They will also will have something to do with getting that such kind of apps. That is a very good initiative.
Yes, we're going with it, but we have only one doubt whether, like we have initiated this one, madam, and
Yes.
the problem which we have faced it to accumulate the details, like the person maybe he may be from some one district and he met with an accident in some other district. So what we are trying to fix it is that by using his UPI ID, like his Aadhaar number, after entering all the details of the accident in that, why can't we take the other number so that we can give the detail, they can inform about the person also, because every time we can't say that the person met with the accident may be in a position to talk, or else
Yes.
he can't tell his details also.
Yes.
If
Yes.
we can, if we with an image or something, as we are having the smartphones, we can directly take the image also. So by the image we can get the, if we are having the UPI ID, we can claim the UPI ID of the individual, so that his address and all can be evacuated, and we can inform to their residents also that your individual has met, if family individual has met with an accident here, so you can come and claim the status of his health condition or like that. So
Yeah,
for this,
it is true that.
I need a suggestion, madam. So to whom we can approach for this? So for betterment.
It is true that at many of the cases, the victims of the accidents will be hospitalized mostly, and what happened to them later on, or what was the actual cause of the accident, all those things has to be investigated properly, which may require some time, or it is a little bit tedious task. But still, the kind of personal details, I don't know. I am not sure whether the people will be ready to share with you, even if
No, not sharing the personal details, madam. The thing is, you will see, means we have seen practically an accident here, and the person met with a fatal accident. He was unable to recover for a span of 12 days.
yes.
So what the thing is, the local people don't know who is he, what is his name, from where he has come. We don't know the details. Still, he has woken up in the hospital.
Okay.
So by seeing those conditions like that, and we met with some police authorities also, and they said we are facing like these problems. People coming from the local districts or villages also, we don't know their address and all, because we can't take their personals and all. If any ideology is there behind this, so that their family can be informed in prior, so that they can come and claim. Because sometimes the person may die also after 2 to 3 days of meeting of a fatal accident. If we are unable to know the details of the individual, and again it will take for time for the authorities also to confirm his death to his family members.
Yeah,
So
actually, after a crash happening, the details of that will be mostly recorded only by the enforcement agency, that is the police, under whom the area coming under the jurisdiction. Only those people will be having any data regarding that. Also, the hospital records will be having the data. So, for the crash victim details, usually what we do is we either approach the police personnel, that is the police station records we refer to, or also the other means of publications like newspapers we refer for investigating on different crashes, and also we approach the hospital records. So a critical analysis of all these together can help in getting the more appropriate information regarding the accident. That is the only means for getting the details regarding the accidents nowadays. So these
just
agencies, you might,
trying to short out this analysis.
yeah, you might be able to, you may have to follow up the cases in some cases, to get more details regarding the fatality rate, or the kind of kind of effect on the victims. You may have to follow up the case, either with the police personnel, or with the insurance agencies, or with the hospital records.
Yes, we are following those, and the main thing is that sometimes the data also is not able to grab. The police authorities are also not able to grab the data, and the individuals are also don't know what are the limits of that local police station.
Okay, you
Because
may, if you have more queries, you may please email on the address. The address will be, email address will be shared by the organizers.
okay,
We
okay,
can
thank you,
we can respond to you.
thank you.
Any more queries? Any more questions?
Hello everyone. Shalini ma'am?
Yeah.
Yes ma'am. I think I have answered. Any more queries you can post in the chat box please. Anyone else having any queries you can post in the chat box.
During the times of natural calamities, somebody has put a question like that. During the times of natural calamities, that we'll have to learn from the different agencies which are giving alert messages. That way only we will be able to divert the traffic and avoid the accidents. The disaster management agencies are there in the state which will be giving alert messages, and the different agencies will be passing on to the society. So that way the traffic could be diverted at such emergency times. Alternate routes could be adopted for diverting the traffic.